Thank you, Chairman. I appreciate the testimony from our witnesses. Ms. Osborne, I particularly appreciate your work and your testimony. You've noted that while today we are spending more money overall on our roads, the money is not necessarily going towards repair. In many cases, as you note, states are spending as much on expansion as they are on repair. And you rightly point out, and I want to emphasize, that, quote, every new lane mile of road costs approximately $24,000 per year to preserve in a state of good repair. By expanding roads, we are borrowing against the future. As Congress begins considering the next surface transportation reauthorization, how should we reprioritize formula funding to ensure that we are maximizing our existing roads and not expanding and inducing more vehicular traffic?
Thank you for that question. To be clear, the $24,000 per lane mile is a number that we came up with from federal highways in 2019. So that's probably awfully low. And the liability of building things has likely become more expensive. This committee actually led the way in addressing this policy-wise in the last reauthorization. There was bipartisan language added to your bill originally that said that an agency could build new infrastructure or expand infrastructure if they had a plan to maintain it throughout its useful life while improving the overall condition of their system. It's something that is just good governance and common sense. Unfortunately, the Senate and the White House did not follow your excellent lead, and I would love to see that language come back in.
There's a lot from the INVEST Act that I would like to see come back in, for sure. You've also noted that our current funding system does not prioritize access, whether that is access to economic opportunity, healthcare, family. The current formula incentive states to simply use more fuel. The current formula incentivizes states to simply use more fuel, not to actually design a transportation system that connects people with the places they need to go. How should we think about reevaluating that formula to prioritize access to jobs and services instead of simply inducing more vehicular miles traveled?
Yes, this is something I am very excited about, and I really think it could be transformative in speaking to the user experience and to access to economic opportunity. For those that are not familiar with multimodal access, it is measuring the destinations people can reach when they travel. The way we measure the success of the transportation system right now is based on a proxy that was the best thing we could do in the 1950s, which is to look at the speed of vehicles within an observed section, assuming that if we sped up vehicles within that observed section that people would arrive where they were going more quickly. As it turns out, what we do often to speed up that travel actually extends the distance. Think about roadways where you have no left turn all the way down and you have to go out of your way to take that left turn. We can measure that trip now. Virginia has really led the way in this, and in doing so, I think really improve people's experience.
And I'm glad you brought up Virginia. Let's go one level deeper in granularity to describe what it is that Virginia has done to quantify access to jobs and services within sort of a catchment area to help policymakers understand how effective their mobility policy is.
They evaluate all new capacity projects on several items, including access to jobs and access to essential services. They measure those differently because a job trip is expected and okay if it is a little bit longer, and certainly does not it is not treated the same way as, for example, a trip to the grocery. A 30-minute trip to a job is an acceptable amount of time. A 30-minute trip to a grocery is a public policy problem.
So is it modality agnostic in the sense that they
say,
is. Regardless of how you get there?
It is not only modally agnostic, it actually brings in distance and land use decisions. So if you move the things people need closer to homes or affordable housing closer to those things, you can get an access increase as well.
And what types of places score higher on this metric? Is it single-family zoned, highway-centric, car-centric planning, or is it walkable, mixed-use downtowns?
On access to non-work necessities, definitely more walkable, mixed-use, traditional communities.
I yield back, Chair.
Gentleman yields. Mr. Collins.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Dewitt, I heard you made the comment about good intentions. We always have a saying around my crowd that